Hello, I'm Dennis Hanno, president of Wheaton College, and I'd like to welcome you to this edition of Wheaton Live. Wheaton Live is a series of conversations with members of the Wheaton community designed to help newly admitted students and their families learn more about this great community that is Wheaton College. Tonight, we're going to have a discussion with some current parents of Wheaton students so that the parents out there can learn a little bit more about what it's like as this transition occurs, but also how you can be part of this community. We will take questions throughout this discussion tonight. I want to just give you or remind you of where you can send those questions. On Twitter, if you're using Twitter, it would be at Wheaton ADM, all one word, so Wheaton ADM. On email, you could just simply send them to admission@wheatoncollege.edu. And again, that's admission@wheatoncollege.edu. Looking forward to hearing your questions as we have this conversation tonight. So let's hear, first of all, who we have here with us. As I mentioned, we have a couple current parents here with us, so I'd love to have our parents introduce themselves, say a little bit about where they're from and what their Wheaton connection is. So Ross,
Sure.
Let's start with you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Ross DeLuca. I live in Taunton with my family, which is about 10 or 15 minutes away, and I have a freshman here. Her name is Tessa, and happy to answer any questions you may have for me tonight.
Is she your first going off to college? Or?
No, she's our youngest. We have two daughters, and my other daughter stayed local too. She's at UMass.
So you're a veteran in this whole process. So.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for coming out tonight. And we have Donna here with us. So.
Hi, my name is Donna Sanfilippo. I am from Southeast Connecticut, from a little town of Salem. I have a senior, his name is Troy, who's graduating this year, and an incoming freshman, a daughter, Nina.
And so are those your two children?
No, they're 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4.
That are here, and the other 2 went to 2 other colleges.
Okay, so we got half of them at least.
Yeah.
Yes. So, great to have you here tonight.
Thanks.
I'm also joined by a Wheaton celebrity, our Dean of Students and Vice President for Student Affairs. Kate, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes. So I'm the Dean of Students and Vice President for Student Affairs here at Wheaton. What that means is that I oversee all aspects of life on campus outside of the campus, outside of the curriculum, including residence halls, athletics, community service, student engagement, and student activities on campus. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about life here on campus at Wheaton.
So we just want to start this conversation off, and again, you're welcome to chime in anytime you want with questions or comments. But Donna, you're the veteran in terms of the Wheaton experience here as a parent. So maybe thinking back, if you can remember way back almost 4 years ago when Troy came to Wheaton, what are some of the memorable things about that you think back to his experience of transitioning into Wheaton? Can you think a little bit about what it was like in those first days when he showed up here, and how that relates to your experience as a parent?
I thought it was a very, very smooth transition. There were no issues, there was no problems. I think because of the small, close-knit community here, they made that transition very, very easy. No, there were no problems, no anything. If there was a question, it was answered right away. It was very, very smooth.
What did Troy end up majoring in, by the way?
Troy majored in biology, and he had come to Wheaton because it was tied into optometry, which was something he was interested in, and has continued that path, and Wheaton helped him throughout the 4 years attain his goal.
So he came in knowing that biology was the path he was going to go down?
Yes.
Which, by the way, is rare. So if you're sitting out there
Right.
panicking, saying,
Right.
my child doesn't know where they're going to go yet, he would be one of the exceptions.
Correct.
So,
Absolutely.
So Ross, so you're fresher in your memories, just a few
Yes.
short months ago,
Yeah.
and you live close by.
Yes.
So just thinking about, maybe even one of the challenges people might expect is that if you live only 10 miles away, was your daughter home every evening? How did that transition work in terms of, making that break from having her home all the time to all of a sudden being at college, albeit relatively close?
I think she managed well, and the fact that we're close leaves it open so she can come and visit every weekend, which she does. I mean, both my daughters are home they usually come home Friday night, stay through Sunday. So that's great. I mean,
Mhm.
that's kind of our family dynamic, and it's fantastic. We wouldn't have it any other way. And we're definitely, my wife and I are definitely open to the fact that that may change in the future. I mean, my other daughter that is going to be a senior next year may find a job a little bit closer to her major and end up doing something like a CNA role or a nursing role near the university, and that may be on weekends, and she may not come home. And that's something that we're definitely ready for, because to tell you the truth, being that we're a close family, we've kind of planned that this would be an impact for us, for the kids to be away all week. And I think that if you're faced with the same situation where you're going from having everybody home to just you and your spouse, or you and your partner, I think that's something to really prepare for, because it could be an impact. I was just talking about other things that we decided to do. We're taking some developmental courses in our careers, both of us, and my wife's had some additional responsibilities at work, so we're kind of working through it that way.
So you're basically taking advantage of all that free time,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
So did Tessa, does she know what she wants to major in here or as well, or?
Yes, I would say she has amazing clarity as far as what she wants to do. She wants to be an adolescent therapist, and she'd like to major in psychology, but we've told her to kind of leave the door open as well. And
Yeah, there's a number of different routes to that, obviously. So one of the great things about Wheaton is that we have 47 different majors and 59 different minors. So for someone coming in who isn't quite as certain about what they want to do. So Kate, just to give you a chance to weigh in on the transition process. You talk to all of our students at some point, especially in that first year, and to many parents. What do you see as like the major thing that arises as a hurdle in those first few weeks for a student being here on campus?
Sure. I think a few of the things are sharing space on campus. I think many of our students come, and I don't know if this was your experience, but having their own room, some of them even their own bathroom, and that's a transition to sharing with multiple people on a floor. We provide resources through upper class students who are called resident advisors, who help in that living situation and navigate that sharing experience, as well as living in a community. Also, academically can be a transition in scheduling. It's not the same schedule as in high school, where they're in class from 8:30 to 4:30 every day, or 8:30 to 3:30. They could have class at noon and could have class at 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then it might be different on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And for some students, that's different. And how do they spend their free time? What do they do? What do they do with all that time that used to be structured, and how do they engage with the community? We also have, for students who are called preceptors, who are students who are trained to help first-year students transition academically. So they're a good resource for students to be able to connect with, to figure out what to do with all that free time, as well as if they're having a struggle in a course or don't know what to do. There are lots of tutors, and we encourage students to use office hours for faculty, and to be able to connect with their faculty in that way, and our faculty encourage that. But for sometimes that's one of the biggest transitions for students, is actually going somewhere and asking a question, or going somewhere to ask for help. But again, there are student leaders who are around to be able to help them acclimate and bring them to events and introduce them to people that can be good resources for them while they're here. So those are probably the few of the biggest challenges I think that first-year students have.
I think one way to help students acclimate is the things they do outside the classroom. So I'd love to hear from our parents here about, whether they were involved in that discussion about how do you fill in the co-curricular time, whether or not when your students first showed up here, how they figured out exactly what they would get involved in that would be their passion. Ross, I know you mentioned that Tessa got involved in dance right away.
Yeah, she did. She joined a group called Tribe with a Y, and she's made a lot of friends that she really enjoys. And they put on a show recently, which was held here, I think, in February. I think it was great, and definitely, top shelf entertainment. And I know I'm biased, but she had a lot of fun with it, and she takes it very serious too. And it's something that she's leveraging from high school. I think that one of the things that really I think made Wheaton an attractive choice, I think both ways, was kind of the appreciation for the extracurricular activities. And Tessa had really focused on drama and dance. Like, she's been in dance classes ever since she was 3 years old. Had a lot of experience with the drama program at the high school in Taunton, and really, I would say, found her talent, and that is something that definitely helped her a lot. Connect with some great new friends here on campus, and have a lot of fun at the same time. So she's because we're close too. She's busy with her part-time job that she's been at the grocery store, local grocery store, and she's got a great summer job at the Y, hosting kind of in the role of counselor for a summer camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Donna, when Troy came, did he choose the things he was going to get involved in right away, or do you remember having conversations with him about how to use that time outside the classroom, and what kinds of things is he involved with on campus?
Okay, I remember him getting involved with different activities because the school had sponsored, it was like a club day or
Student
club.
activities fair.
Yeah, a
And
fair, yeah.
it was a fair where all the clubs were around, and he went and spoke to every club and decided what he would sign up for. Signed up for a few different things and tried it. And it was flexible enough with the schoolwork that if you missed a club date or whatever, it wasn't that big of a deal, but he got to experience a whole bunch of different things and keep up with the academics. If I can just say one thing,
Sure.
when you were saying about the acclimating, one thing I've got to say about the school that is, it really, really stands out. I always think of when the kids come from high school, they're not allowed out of their cafeteria without a note or anything like that. Then they're thrown to college, and they're supposed to decide what they want for their life's career, live on their own, learn to live with other people, and
Pick
all
out their lunch every day.
just everything, and it's done now. You're an adult, and that transition never made sense to me in general. But what I've got to say about Wheaton is the faculty is outstanding as far as helping the students grow up, and they help them mature and make good decisions. There's no, how do I explain it? Even if they falter somewhere, it's never punitive. It's okay, what did we learn from this, and how do we move forward? And they teach them and keep teaching them, even just growing up and growing up into their skins, which is really very, very unique to this place. I know a lot of schools, when you go and listen to the speeches and everything, they all say the same thing. This place does it, and it comes, I've got to say, from the top down, that culture of the teachers wanting to be here. They're taught by full-time professors. There's not really TAs and everything for, as a parent, paying for an education. That's what we want. But the teachers want to be here, and they do take the time out and tell the kids to meet us at this time, and they're there at that time, and encourage and follow up with emails, and it's a really close-knit community, and that's what
Well, it's good to hear that from you. I do think we all take that responsibility
do.
very seriously. I think it leads into a question we got from one of our listeners, because Alice wrote in asking about orientation. So Kate, maybe you can kind of describe that process a little bit. Basically, what's the orientation process like? Do we have multiple sessions? So I don't think we need to go into all the details, but I believe what you're talking about begins the day students show up on campus, which is at orientation. So.
Right. So we have 2 orientations. One is in June, where students come for a day and a half and overnight. And that's where they register for classes, meet some faculty, meet some other students, and engage with student leaders around life on campus and learn a lot about the community. They also meet each other in smaller groups, which helps them acclimate. So those that attend our program in June really do benefit from knowing people by the time they show up in August. So we encourage you to do that if you end up coming here. And then in August they come, and they're here for a few days before the returning students come and classes begin. And that's a time when they're meeting their first-year seminar faculty, they're meeting upper-class students, and they're learning about all these different kinds of resources that we have available on campus, as well as getting to know each other. So we build in social time around whether it's recreation, games, or entertainment. The student activities fair happens the day before classes begin. And then we have some traditional events that happen where they sign the honor code and they participate in other types of things that help welcome them to the community. And our community really comes together around the upper class students returning early and to help welcome them to campus. And so it's a pretty packed program before classes start. Sometimes they say that they're tired even before classes begin and they can't wait for classes to begin. But it really helps them learn a lot about the campus. We do tours around campus so they know where they're going. We do tours in the dining hall so they know what's available at each meal. And lots of different ways for them to get to know the campus and get to know each other.
And it's also an opportunity for parents to get to meet each other. We have events and activities both in the summer orientation program, but also at the beginning of the academic year. So that's, I think, really the official welcome to Wheaton, where you really start to feel like you're connecting with others here in our community. I just want to, maybe think for a second about what probably every parent fears is when that first phone call comes home. And it's on the other end of the phone, it's like, Dad or Mom, I got a problem. Whether it's in a class or didn't make a club or something like that, didn't make the tryouts. Have you gotten one of those calls? Ross, have you got one of those calls?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about it and what your advice was on that?
Oh boy, I know my daughter's watching this. So.
Yeah, we don't want to give out any, you can just talk about it in general terms. So.
Yeah, so in general, my daughter's very conscientious, and she is taking a tough course right now. She's taking her second Italian course, and she's pushing herself. She's signed up already for a third one next semester, which will be the beginning of her second year.
Wait a second, last name DeLuca? She
Yes.
doesn't speak Italian.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first kind of such call that we got. Is I know the material, I just don't have enough time for the exams. I'm doing great on the homework, but the exams are throwing me, and they're scary because they're throwing off my average. So my initial thought was to get in my car and drive to the college, and of course I didn't do that. So we told Tessa to speak with her teacher, and the teacher was very accommodating. She happens to have another class right after with the large break afterwards that would possibly allow for additional test-taking time. And Tessa, I don't know if she's taken advantage of that, but now that the professor knows what the situation is, she's worked with Tessa to make sure that that's not an issue. And they have a nice relationship, and Tessa's signed up for that follow-up course.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing her class is probably, maybe you could count it on one hand, maybe two hands, or two sets of hands, because it's going to be a language class in particular. It's going to be a nice small environment where you can reach out to the faculty member and really have those kinds of conversations. But that would be typical of just about any course here, I think, in terms of helping to navigate that situation. So I appreciate your advice of having her work with the faculty member, because I think that's definitely the way to go. So. Let me just twist the question a little bit differently for you, Donna, because so you've got two children, one who's here and one who's coming.
Correct.
And I bet a lot of parents have been through this situation of having, you have more than one child in school. I mean, can you predict on the basis of one what it's going to be like for the other? Do you think Nina will have the same kind of experience that Troy had?
I think academically, yes, because that's the faculty's culture. Socially and interests, they're very, very different.
Yeah.
And that's what's fascinating to me, is that the one school is serving two very, very different types of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool.
Does she know what she wants to come in studying? Or?
Neuroscience.
Neuroscience.
Again, that's kind of, she's thinking that way.
Yep.
Nothing is chipped in
Sure.
stone, and it's kind of rare for kids to be thinking this way. But she's coming in playing a sport also. And with the other thing, another great piece of advice I was given by someone: when your kid calls you, this was so key. Besides talking to the teacher if it's an academic problem, most of the time when kids call, they just need to vent.
Yes.
So you
Listen.
just sit, you listen, you go, And then what I always told my kid is, when this first happened with my first one going off to college, I would worry for the rest of the week about what my child had told me.
Mm-hmm.
They forgot about it as soon as they vented and got it off. So by the end of the week, I'd say, and they didn't remember what they were talking about. So every once in a while, tell your kids to call you and just say, look, everything is fine.
Yeah.
Because all you're gonna get are these terrible phone calls that, oh my God, but everybody gets them.
Yeah,
Just listen, go, it's gonna be all right, and just
Yeah.
listen. That's
In
all
an
they
academic, in
want.
a college environment, we rue the day that technology made it possible for instant communication.
Yes.
Because the problem of the moment
Exactly.
is usually gone within a couple
It's
hours.
absolutely true.
And in today's world, we tend to overreact,
Yes.
present company included, of like, oh my God, I've got to fix that right away. And usually it just takes care of itself.
That's it.
So,
They
yeah.
just need to vent.
So why don't we take a little commercial break here? We actually have a little video that we'd love to share with you, and then we'll be back in just about a minute or two. And we do have some more questions that came in, so we'll address those questions right after our short little break here. So enjoy the video.
Welcome to Wheaton.
This is your invitation to dream big.
Make lasting connections. Discover what moves you.
Broaden your view of the world.
Find your passion and put it into practice. Expand your mind.
Be innovative.
Be creative.
Dive into new possibilities.
Be yourself.
Be whoever you want to be.
Welcome to Wheaton.
Welcome to Wheaton.
Welcome to Wheaton.
Welcome to Wheaton. Welcome to Wheaton.
Welcome to Wheaton.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little video and photo montage interlude. Just a quick comment on the photos at the end. You saw several students holding up a big yes sign. You may have read about this in your local newspaper, but one thing we did do this year, and it ties right into this personal nature of Wheaton College, is that when we did the admissions process, we decided that we would try to reach out personally to as many students as we could that had been accepted. We obviously couldn't reach every possible student, and we hand-delivered 75 acceptances to Wheaton College in 4 different states, here in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Maine. And it was great. We had teams go out from here at campus. We had about 50 faculty, staff, and students involved on campus who literally pulled up to newly accepted students' houses with the acceptance package and a big welcome to Wheaton. I actually was involved in one of those teams. It was a great night, and I think it really points to the opportunity to get to know students as soon as they are part of our community. And I'm sure that many of those students that we greeted that night will be here on campus coming up. In fact, should remind you that Welcome to Wheaton Day is coming up this coming Friday, April 15th. It's a great day to come to campus and learn about all the great things that we've already touched upon and so many more. It's still not too late to register. You just go to the Office of Admission website and you'd be able to register there. I do think it's the best day on campus because there's so much excitement and enthusiasm. And we've checked the weather, 50s and sunny, so it'll be a great day to be in Norton, Massachusetts. So we had some questions come in during the break and a little bit before. One of the first ones was around the international student population on campus. And this one came in from Patty, who's asking what percentage of campus is international. Last year's first year class was 14% international, and overall on campus it's around 11% international. We actually have students from 72 different countries and close to 40 different states. So we are not just a Massachusetts or even just a New England school. I mean, we obviously still get a ton of students from this area, but students do come here from all over the world to be a part of the Wheaton community. Another question that came in, and this is maybe where our parents can help with this. Lori asked, what's the campus atmosphere like? Do students ever feel lonely? What activities does Wheaton offer? So Donna, I might start with you there because you have lived through 4 years of the experience. What do you hear from Troy about the campus atmosphere? And we all feel lonely at some time or another. I don't know whether he's had that experience or how he's been able to really feel engaged and involved on campus.
Again, I'm limited with my little study, but Troy has felt no more or no less lonely, if you will, than my other children on their campuses or any other college student I know. I think every kid goes through it, but again, he chose a smaller campus. It was a choice because he wanted that more intimate feel. With that, you get a certain type of kid also that tends to want that also. And they tend to be a little bit more, not friendly, I don't want to sound like that, but engaging of people. So that was never a problem. And no, I can't say that was a problem.
I think the small class size is the first line of defense on the loneliness issue, because you can't, in a class here, you cannot sit and not have a conversation with somebody because everybody's involved. But I think what happens outside the classroom, and Kate, I might turn to you for a little bit more on the co-curricular, the clubs and organizations, because I think that's where a lot of connections and maybe even a little bit about the theme houses and things like that. So from your perspective, what are the best ways for students to get fully engaged and connected in the community?
I think it's important for students to be able to take a step out of their comfort zone and maybe go to an event that they might not, or go with someone to have a meal when they're invited. And I think that can be some of the most challenging things, but also the most rewarding in the end once they take that step to do that. We have close to 100 student organizations ranging from cultural clubs to club sports and intramurals to community service clubs to theater and dance, as you've heard a little bit about, and academic clubs as well. And so there's lots of opportunities for students to engage. And I do think many students go through a process of feeling lonely, like no one here is like me, but once they can connect with people, and we have ways that we help with our faculty, our staff, and our student leaders to help students engage, especially if we know that they're feeling lonely, and work with even parents sometimes to create a strategy to help students get more connected with other people. And that could be having an RA ask them to go to lunch, or having a faculty member ask them to have coffee, or encouraging them to go to an event with their floor. But I think they just need to be willing to take that risk, maybe if they're not comfortable with it, to go to an event or to answer an invitation, or to reach out and say, I'm not feeling connected, can somebody help me, to an RA or to one of their faculty members or to a staff member on campus. And I think there are more than people who are welcome to do that. I think many of us will answer that email. We're also available in lots of different ways, whether it's in the dining hall or at activities and events ourselves. And so hopefully students would feel comfortable coming to anyone that they see, including the president and myself at events, to be able to make that connection and help them feel more comfortable on campus.
I think one of the best vehicles that we do really well here is the first year seminar, where, and it's been a while for you, Donna, but you probably, Tessa, would have gone through a seminar in the fall semester where there's a faculty member, a staff member, and at least one, sometimes two students who serve as preceptors that Kate mentioned before, usually in a class of only about 15 students. And that team is there as a total support team. And the preceptors meet on a regular basis with the students to see how they're adjusting, both academically and socially. Actually, every one of the FYSs comes over. We're actually here in the President's House right now. All of the first year students are in the President's House in the first semester. I can't guarantee I know all 420 some names, but I bet I know 300 and some names, because it's that kind of community where you get to know everybody quite quickly. So, I'm going to, Ross, I'll throw you maybe, I don't want this to be, kind of rat on Tessa Day, but, so hopefully she's not watching. This loneliness thing, when I think about it, she might have a unique situation where she had a lot of friends, I'm assuming, in Taunton, only 10 miles away. Do you see her maintaining those friendships, or has she started a whole new bunch here? What's the connection between leaving the old behind or staying connected, but still forming a new group here? Has she been successful in that?
Oh, absolutely. The new group here is definitely alive and well, and that's where she spends a lot of her energy. But she has thankfully kept some of her relationships from high school and even before. So, I mean, that's kind of like the best case scenario. So we're really happy about that.
What was the key for her forming a good, solid friend group here? I know you mentioned she's in Tribe, the dance group. Do you see those friendships extending beyond that?
Let's see. Well, I know that she's making friends, on her floor where she's living and all that stuff as well. But she talks most about her group activities, and that's where she spends a lot of time. I know that there's a lot of practices all week. I know that she's been to a couple rehearsals already this week. Because she's doing the dance and theater and also the language. So she's been to an open mic night as well this week. So really not too much opportunity to get lonely, but that lonely, I don't know if it's lonely, but maybe it was just more missing us and missing kind of that family dynamic and everything. That was a couple weeks in her freshman year at the beginning. But that quickly actually went to the other side of the spectrum where, like Kate said, she had to learn to kind of share space. I mean, there were people on her floor come and introduce themselves and just dropping in and that kind of stuff. So that takes a little getting used to. But there's the conversational Italian, with another activity that she's part of, and that happens, outside of class hours. So she can sit and kind of practice her Italian skills. I know she's done that a couple times. So yeah, a lot of activities, as much as you want to or can take on. Definitely, to meet new people and stay busy.
Yep. So a couple of questions have come in around transportation. So Osato wrote in, we live in Dallas, how easy is it to access campus from Logan? And Sydney's asking a transportation question too. How can a student travel off campus? How often do students go into Boston? I'll ask the two of you a yes or no question, and then I'll kick it over to you to talk a little bit about transportation options. Does Tessa have a car?
Yes.
Yes.
Did he have one when he came first
No.
year? When did he get his car?
2 years ago, I
Okay.
used to take the bus and train, and they used to
Yeah.
go off campus.
And is Nita going to have a car when she comes in the fall?
Not first year, no.
That first year. So we got a yes and a no, then later on. So, okay, so somebody who doesn't have a car, how does transportation work on campus? For those of you out there, if you haven't checked the map, we're on Norton, Massachusetts. We're about 30 some miles south of Boston and 20 some miles north of Providence. But students can get there. How do they get there?
Right. I think there are quite a few ways. Some is they go with friends. Another is they participate in a bus or a taxi service that we host from campus. Oftentimes those are free or for $2 to get to local shopping centers where they call and reserve a spot on the taxi or the bus to go. Oftentimes there are field trips that go into Boston on a regular basis. We often will send a group up to the Museum of Science in Boston for their college night, or we send students up to do shopping around holiday time, or to the Museum of Fine Arts for an event. We also have a bus that comes to campus just about every hour on the hour. That's our local transportation system called the GATRA, and that goes to both the MBTA station where students can get the train to get into Boston or to Providence, and also get to either airport, either Providence or Boston, or to the train stations there via the train. We also have a rideshare program on campus where students can buy into renting a car, where there's always a car parked on campus. They just have to buy into the program and then call and reserve it at the time that when they need it, for when they need it. So if they want to do a short trip on their own, they can certainly borrow the car to do that. And then we have shopping taxis, like I mentioned, in our student activities office. We'll sponsor those at least once a month to a variety of different shopping places around locally so that students can go to the shopping or entertainment to Patriot Place or to Mansfield Crossing, where there's lots of restaurants and other things to do as well. And so there's lots of different ways. I think a lot of times students also will connect with each other and plan to go to the grocery store together or to where we're together. For whatever reason, because as you saw, there's a difference in how many students can have cars. We have plenty of parking for all students who want to have cars, and first-year students can have cars on campus. So that's certainly an option if the family and the student decide that that's an option for them.
The car rental service, the car sharing service, which is through Enterprise, is actually an amazing deal and opportunity. It's a relatively low cost per hour. It's $6 or $7, I think. And you just hop in the car and go. So if you need to go to the grocery store quickly, which is only about 2 miles away, you can walk to, there's CVS and Walgreens within a couple hundred yards of campus, so many students walk there. I think the train system, and students talk about that and the ease of getting to it. The train is the easiest way to get into Boston or Providence, and it's just a short bus ride away from here, which we provide. But then, the reality of going to Boston or Providence, I don't know, does Tessa go to either one of those very often?
Once in a while. We have family in the Providence area, so
Yeah.
she'll drive there on the weekends.
Yeah,
and-
but probably not from a social perspective.
No.
Does
Yeah.
Troy go
Yeah.
very often to Boston or Providence?
I'd say at least once a month.
Once a month?
Once a
Yeah.
month, maybe twice, and once a month to Providence, once or twice a month to Boston.
Yeah, and he drives himself, or?
He drives, but before that, used to take the train, the bus and
train.
train. Friends would go do that and
Yep.
go to the mall, go out to dinner, and just do things, go see the museums in Boston.
Yep.
It was very easy.
My observation is that, a lot of people ask this question because it's a fair question, but campus is so active that we don't see, it's not everybody flee on a Friday or Saturday night. There's more than enough activity on campus, sometimes too many different events to choose from, so that despite having all these transportation options, I think over time, people kind of focus their social life right here on campus. Would you agree with that, Kate?
I would
Yeah,
agree with
yeah,
that, yeah.
yeah.
I think oftentimes we're choosing what to go to at night for our own entertainment as well. I think students do the same.
Yeah. Which I hadn't looked down, but actually that ties right into a question. Thank you, Suzanne, for leading into this. Are there enough activities to do on the weekends? The campus is small. Is there enough to do so that they don't have to come home on the weekends? So I live literally here on campus. Kate lives literally here on campus. I can't choose the things that I want to go to because on any given night, there will be 3 or 4 plays or performances or other kinds of activities going on that I would love to go to all of them if I could. So really it depends on the student himself or herself in terms of picking and choosing what to go to. But the Student Government Association has a big budget to be able to actually fund student activities. Maybe you can add your 2 cents about what life on campus on the weekend is like.
So they're generated by the student organizations that I spoke about, and there's always something happening, whether it's a live music performance, comedy, or students themselves providing the entertainment. We have lots of ways that students can do that. They also provide opportunities where we bring in entertainment, whether it's magicians or concerts, or we've done like midnight glow in the dark, mini golf in the gym, dodgeball in the gym, lots of different ways that students can engage with each other, in addition to our regular theater performances, music performances, and athletic contests that are happening. And I think, like Dennis, I often have to we pass each other going to events so that we can be able to see as many things as we can on campus. And many of our students do the same thing because they like to support each other in those. And many of them do more than one activity, as you've heard here today. And I think that if students are interested in something and it's not here, we have ways that we can help them find that too. And I think that's always one of the things that we work with students to do. If they don't see something they want, well, how can we work with them to do that? And we have staff who help them do that. And I think, for us, our lives might end earlier in the night than theirs does. And there's things that are happening into the early morning hours as well as places where they can go to eat and just hang out and be social if they want to do that. I think there's food on campus until 2 a.m. on the weekends. So
Yeah,
they
I was gonna comment on that because I'm only my second year here, but when I came here, I was amazed at basically students have food options on campus from 7 a.m. till midnight every night of the week, and 2 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. So on those busy weekend nights, there's only 5 hours a day when there isn't, from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m., when there isn't some food options on campus, which right here on campus again, there's other places that you can order out or walk to, but for a small campus like this to have that as a food option. And the main dining facility is open till midnight, the Chase, which is newly renovated and a real popular hangout space for students. So, I think what I don't see is on Thursday night or Friday night a whole bunch of cars heading off campus because there's so much happening on campus. Some of the questions, that we also thought about ahead of time, and these aren't submitted by our viewers, but just thinking about the experience that your son and daughter have had here, and hopefully your daughter will have here. Just thinking a little bit about preparing them for what comes next. So Troy is graduating this year, and hopefully he's not just coming home to be on your couch. Do you think, how did Wheaton work with him to help get him ready for what comes next in his life?
I think besides, Troy putting his time into the work, I think Wheaton helped him greatly to go to optometry school, which is what he wanted and has gotten into, and it is why he came to the school, and they helped him fulfill his dream that he wanted to do.
Did he, about 22% of our students go on to grad school of one kind or another, and I'm just wondering whether he actually took advantage of any of the resources like our Filene's Career Center, which is around careers, but at the same time somebody who's applying to grad school, very helpful in terms of positioning them to make that a successful process.
Correct.
Do you know if he was able to take advantage of that?
Yes, he did, and they practice interviewing, they practice writing your resume, they practice working with the student, how to present, what to do, how not to do this, and I can't say enough. They really shaped and got him ready for the next step, and just didn't leave him floundering like I see a lot of college students are. And this place takes care of their students, and they mean what they say, that they care about the students and what they're going to do when they graduate.
So Tess is early in this process,
Yes.
so I know she hasn't lined up her career just yet, but you get the sense that this year, does she have an internship or anything lined up? Or you mentioned she works near home, so maybe she's just going to go back to that? Or?
She's definitely going back to summer camp counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And we're happy about that because it's kind of in
early,
what she wants to do. And,
So one of the things I think, what we try with first-year students, especially in that first-year seminar, they've already been exposed to the Filene's Career Center. And we try to stress, and I think the best help for this is actually with parents reinforcing this, is that beginning that process for what comes after Wheaton starts the minute you arrive at Wheaton, because you really need to be thinking about how do you prepare your prepare your academic and co-curricular pursuits here to get you positioned to get into grad school or to get a good job. Waking up senior year of college is not going to do that. I think Troy's a great example of, I know he's been very planful about this and put all his ducks in a row to make that possible for him.
But also, another thing is alumni stepped in. Again, in his case, optometrists who have graduated from Wheaton and went on, he was put into contact with them to speak with them, to shadow them, to whatever they like. So a lot of alumni do touch base back here to help and try to connect the kids.
Okay. So parental involvement at Wheaton. Did we pick your name out of a hat? I'm not quite sure how you ended up here, but and Ross, you're again new to this. What kind of outreach do you get from us? Can you say a little bit about how you have attempted to be connected with Wheaton? And it's keeping that it's Tess's experience, but I know families want to be involved in any productive way they can. So any thoughts on that?
It is definitely, with regard to Tessa's experience. So we came to see, actually we were here for one of the orientation nights, and there happened to be like I think it was a dance production playing that night, and we were invited by the director to stay as guests, and that was fantastic. It was nice. We got some nice seats. We got to kind of see a Wheaton production even before Tessa was coming here. As far as how I ended up here, I did meet a member of the Wheaton staff just through an alumni committee. I think it's just smart, you know, trying to get to meet parents, especially if they're local, to, you know, see how much involvement you do want to have with the college. And after we met, she asked if I'd be interested in doing a webcast one day, and I said absolutely, because I've been kind of on the other side of the camera, kind of wondering what's this place like that I'm going to send my child to, and I think it's important to have that kind of sense of comfort. So, you know, I wanted to share my experiences. Hopefully, it's helpful.
Great. Yeah. So, Donna, you've been involved. How do you navigate not being too involved? And again, this is Troy's experience, but a little bit about your involvement on campus and, you know, what you think about how you as a parent can be a productive member of this community.
First of all, I get a lot of information from your weekly emails, sort of updates, and the quarterly magazines and any other little emails that come in. And now I understand the Twitter, which I'm not that tech savvy yet. But anyway, my husband and I are firm believers in helping out things, institutions that we think are really good foundations to give to. And that's how we started. From the first time our kid came home from here, and we saw and listened to the stories on how his education was going and how the staff was and how it really took us away, and we're like, this is something we would want to support. We believe in it, we trust it. We believe in the administration, we've seen it, and this is something that we would like to contribute to. So that's how we started getting involved with it. Just interested and excited for how this college is growing, but the day-to-day kind of interactions with my kids, you know, I am just, it's kind of like a good thing and a feel-good thing to be supportive of. That's like where our line is.
Do you think your husband's out there watching right now? Is Ross watching, or is he
He's probably playing video games.
Oh, he's playing video games, so maybe he'll watch
He
it
may
later.
not even know I'm not home.
If you are there, hello, Ross. Different Ross, by the way.
Different Ross.
Yeah, but and you know, it's great to have your involvement on campus, and I think you are great examples of being present and being engaged, but also, you know, realizing that it's Troy's experience and it's not your experience, but supporting it any way you can. So.
Can you shout out to Debbie? Debbie's definitely watching.
Hi, Debbie. You know, so we appreciate you letting them be here tonight. So, another question came in while we were talking, and this one actually is probably best approached by me. Arif wrote in and said, "My son is interested in studying business. Can you comment on Wheaton's business program? I see it's not AACSB certified. What's your perspective on how Wheaton's program compares to others?" So let me talk a little bit about that. So my background is I am a business professor. I've been a dean and provost at business schools before I came here to Wheaton. Before I arrived, Wheaton had already added a new major, business and management. And this will be the first year actually that we have students graduating from it. I believe we have 41 students graduating with business and management as their major this year, which is, again, we have 49 different majors, so that's, you know, roughly 10% or a little less than our total graduates. So in 2 years it has become quite popular on campus. I actually will be teaching it in the fall. I'm an accounting professor by background, so I'm going to be back in the classroom contributing to that new business major. Fully about 20% of our students indicate that it is an area of interest when they come to Wheaton, and interested in either having it be one of their majors or a minor perhaps. So the AACSB certification question you asked, so I'm very, very involved in the AACSB. It's the official accrediting agency for business schools. We're too young to be accredited by them because it's a new program. We are fully engaged as members. In fact, I got an email today from the head of the AACSB because I'm very active in it. So we meet all the criteria, but you need a certain period of time to be able to prove it and meet the different standards that are there. Since we are members, we conform to all of the expectations that AACSB has, and that we will seek certification when we're a little bit further down the road. How do we compare? I think there's a unique approach here to business in the sense that we don't consider business in isolation of all of the other disciplines. And in fact, what we see a lot of, so one of the students who's graduating this year who just won one of the more prestigious national awards, the Watson Fellowship, is a biology major and a business major. And you wouldn't have that opportunity at a major university probably to take those two areas and blend them together, because he really is going to look at how he can do something in the business side of biology and healthcare professions. And I think the power of having 49 different majors and all these minors to choose from, there isn't these walls that are artificially preventing students from blending the two of them together. Every student in the business major here has to have a concentration in a pure liberal arts area, so you are assured that they're actually going to be able to relate what goes on in the classroom, in the business side of things, with culture and society. And finally, I'd say, a growing area of emphasis for us is around entrepreneurship, helping students to be able to develop business ideas. There's an entrepreneurship club on campus with over 70 members. We have a new entrepreneurship center, which through the generous support of one of our alum, students can stay here during the summertime and work on their business ideas with coaches and mentors, and actually a boot camp around taking those ideas and putting them into action. So despite business being relatively new on campus, it is one of the hottest areas on campus, and one where we've got some amazing students doing some amazing things. I think from the standpoint of being the small community that you described here, you will, if someone comes here to study business, the ability to link it with all the other things that we have here on campus stimulates the creativity and helps to develop that network where students can go off and do great things. The graduates that we have are finding great jobs at major corporations and or going on to grad school if that's what they pursue. So it looks good in terms of the way that major's heading. So I think maybe just, I don't know if we have any more questions that have come in. Oh, we got another question that came in. And this one is from Calvin. What is the process for enrolling in first year seminar, and how many students are in the seminar? Kate, can you help me with that one?
Yeah. So students will receive some information in early May once they enroll in Wheaton, and one of the things that they will need to do is fill out a form that has all the different options on it for the first year seminar topics, and they get to rank order what their topics are. And most students get in one of their top 5 choices for first year seminar, and that's a class around 15 to 18 students, no more than that, sometimes less than that, that's taught by a faculty member who's put the topic together, and often they're not necessarily in one discipline, but they're a creative kind of topic around. I think this year we had one around sports and baseball, we had one around music, we've had one around looking at the Caribbean environment and tourism there from one of our economists, and so lots of different varieties of first year seminars that are meant to really introduce first year students to academic life on a college campus. So it's about writing, it's about research, and it's about how do they work with a faculty member in that close environment. And so they do get to have that choice. There is a deadline for that, and so we ask that students pay attention to that. And then they'll be hand selected to be, and they create a class of students who are interested, and it's based on the other interests that they share in one of their academic interest forms. And then in June, when they come for the June core program, they will learn what their first year seminar program is, as well as get to choose 3 other courses that will round out their schedule for the fall semester. And for students who may not attend the June core program, they also get information through our academic advising office that will share that information with them, either via the telephone or another way that they can come to campus and talk with someone if they can't make the program in June. So that happens pretty quickly, and something that we ask students to do pretty quickly, so that then we can spend the time making sure that they get in the right fit with the other students and with the faculty member.
Do you remember what freshman seminar Tessa took?
Yes, I do. It was called How Sweet It Is.
Oh, yeah.
Sugar.
About sugar.
Sugar and chemistry around food. And
It made me feel real guilty when they were here that night, because I am a sugar fiend. So, but Our Laura Muller is the professor for that, one of our top researchers and faculty members, and so she's working with first-year students and really helping them to see those issues that they probably never thought of before. This would really test your memory.
No.
I was going to say, 4 years
No
ago, do
idea.
you remember what that was?
No idea.
The topics, by the way, because as I mentioned, they all come here to the house, and my wife, Susan, and I always greet all the students, and we ask each professor to talk a little bit about the topics. I would love to take every single one of them. That's why when you mentioned sugar right away, I know that's Laura's, you know. I could tell you something about all 17 or 18 that were offered this year because they are just so interesting. It's actually difficult for students to choose. So, a couple other questions came in. One is around how common is it to double major? How difficult is it to change a major after the first year? So did Troy just, how many did you just have the one major?
Just one.
Yep. And so far, we think Tess is doing psychology.
Yes.
Yep. What your observations about double majors?
Yeah, I think some students do. I think it's a way for them to connect their interests. If they don't do a double major, they can major and have a minor or two, depending on their interests. And I do think students take advantage of that opportunity. They have to declare a major by their second semester in their sophomore year. And so in the first year, they could declare something when they arrive, but then they could change it. After sophomore year, it makes it sometimes more challenging depending on the courses they've already taken to meet the requirements for the major, and so it might be more difficult to change later. But many students don't know what they want to do, so they might pick something just to not be undecided when they arrive, but then they do change it by the time they're a sophomore, or at the latest by their first semester of junior year.
In my first year here, last year, as seniors were walking across that stage and for graduation, and I knew I'd met many of them, I can't think of any two that had the same combination of majors and minors, because with all those choices here and the ability to take things like biology and business and link them together, or chemistry and theater, because that's your passion, and I really do think that shows to me that students, and they do make those decisions along the way. I know there was a statistic quoted early this year that on average students change their majors like 3 or 4 times. So the examples that we've had here of 2 students who seem to come in with a very clear focus, that's really not the norm, that there are a lot of floating back and forth there. Another question came in around internships, and this is from Rui. Does Wheaton offer internships? So we actually, good news for this class, entering class of 2020, last year, beginning with the class of 2019, we made a guarantee that we call the Wheaton Edge that says to every incoming first-year student that during your 4 years here, you will be provided the funding to be able to do an internship or to do a research project with a faculty member here on campus, that you have a guarantee of having that funding available to you, so that we expect 100% of the class of 2019 and going forward from now on to be able to use that funding to acquire an internship. You know, what it means is that often students will seek out their own internship opportunities. I don't know, did Troy do internships? And,
Yes, that is back at home.
back at home, and
Yeah.
so he was able to find those. Yeah.
Yes.
So what it would mean now, for example, is if Troy had found one and it was an unpaid internship, that we would actually support that by providing him the funding to be able to do that without losing any income from it. So, so it's in our career services office. That gets back to my point earlier about working with first-year students from the minute they arrive here to take advantage of having them work with you to identify a great internship offer. You know, even talking to first-year students, one sent me an email today about finding an opportunity in Peru. Another I know is going to do work in Austria. And while those might even come with some funding, the funding that we provide will make it possible for them to travel there and to be able to do that kind of work. So, you know, great news, basically a guarantee for every student coming in that funding is available for internships. So we want to wrap it up here. We just got a couple minutes left. So this is that time for both of you as our parent experts here to, you know, share those words of wisdom about, you know, becoming a parent of a student here at Wheaton College. You know, what advice would you give a new parent, a parent of a new student here at Wheaton College? What's your big words of wisdom that you'd share with them, Ross?
Oh boy, words of wisdom. I would say have your student keep an open mind if they are coming to Wheaton, and just be themselves and see this as a great opportunity. It's such a short period of life that dictates so much, to just be yourself and maximize all the opportunities available here.
Great.
Yeah.
Good words of wisdom. Donna, it's up to you to wrap it up. So,
Wrap it up. This morning on Good Morning America, I think it was, there was a author, I believe, who wrote something about making wise decisions about colleges. And she said the most important thing, not necessarily name, even though Wheaton has a great name, is your child should go to a place where they'll thrive. And Wheaton, I don't think you can get a better place where your child will thrive in college.
well, thank you very much. And I know Kate and I are biased, but we work hard to create the environment where the kinds of success that you're talking about is the norm and not the exception. So I want to thank both of you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in to hear this. Hopefully you found it valuable. I would just sum it up by saying, Wheaton is a really unique community, and I hope that as a parent you will be able to take advantage of that and spend some time here engaged in the community. Don't forget, welcome to Wheaton Day is this Friday, April 15th. We expect the campus to be alive and buzzing with all of our accepted new students, as many of them as we can have here on that day, and you will have a great opportunity to see everything that we talked about here today and much, much more. So are you coming back for Welcome to Wheaton Day? Or?
I don't know.
You know it already, right? So again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the next Wheaton Live. Have a good evening.